Hey, now testosterone. Testosterone is something that guys talk about a lot, that people look at optimizing, shall we say, when it comes to talking about hormones, when it comes to body composition, feeling good, sex drive, energy, and all these good things that we like to improve and work on. But is there something that we keep missing that is really, really important when it comes to looking at a blood test that will help you optimize your usable testosterone levels as much as possible? I'm Ollie Matthews, certified functional medicine health consultant through the Karazian Institute, and I'm here to help you optimize your nutrition, your lifestyle, your movement, and your supplementation protocols in order to allow you to feel great and feel truly optimized once again. Now, if you want to increase your testosterone, we need to make sure that we are testing for a thing called SHBG, sex hormone binding globulin. And this is something that will actually impact your ability to utilize testosterone. Now, when we have signs of lower testosterone, I got my notes here because I want to make sure that this year we're getting into some good depth of videos and I'm helping you actually implement some of the things that I talk about. So, signs of low testosterone, things like poor brain function, forgetting things, brain fog, bad memory, these sorts of things, low libido, or maybe you just don't have as good quality erections as you used to, something like erectile dysfunction, low energy, poor sleep. You're waking up during the night loads of times. You're always feeling just really groggy in the mornings. Muscle loss. You're not able to get muscle like you used to. Increased fat, depression, and there are other things going on. But a lot of the times that people say that these are just signs of getting older. Well, as guys, when we hit 30, our testosterone starts to decrease around 1% per year. That even if we're not doing anything, it's gonna decrease a lot. And if we do, or even if we're doing loads of things, sorry, it's going to still decrease a little bit. So we have to work on optimizing that. Let alone when we're now getting into our 40s and 50s and 60s, we need to be working on that, actively looking to optimize our hormones. Now, there are signs of those signs of testosterone issues that we have. We have to look at what usually gets shown on a blood test. When people are going to the doctors and they test the people's testosterone, pretty much all the time, they will have something called total testosterone. Some people say this is a good thing to look at, but what this is the total amount of testosterone in your body. Now, there are things like tightly bound testosterone, loosely bound, like total and free testosterone. Now, what happens when we produce testosterone is there's a signal sent from our hypothalamus to our pituitary in our brain to our Leydig cells in our balls to say, look, we need to produce testosterone. And then testosterone gets produced. That is what we call total testosterone. But we don't want to just use that testosterone around the tissue, around our balls. We want to be able to take that testosterone around our body. So we need a transporter, a protein called SHBG, sex hormone binding protein, globulin, to take this like a taxi, grab it, and take it around the body. So we need enough of this to take it around the body. Around 45% of our testosterone is actually bound to this SHBG. And then we only have about 1 to 2% free testosterone, actual usable testosterone that isn't bound to a protein like SHBG or another protein called albumin or corticotropin binding protein, whatever we want to look at, binding globulin hormone, sorry. We need to take that testosterone to the places where it can be utilized and then have it dropped off and been made free, unbound. That marker of free testosterone is super important because you can have good total testosterone, not enough SHBG or too much SHBG, and then have too high or too little free testosterone. So we need to look deeper into this. And a lot of practitioners and doctors will only test for that total testosterone. Now, when you look and want a clearer picture, we need to test that free testosterone. There are calculators online that will look at the conversion rate between SHBG and total testosterone to make your free testosterone marker. You can get it on blood tests. I would say do both. The calculators online are usually a bit more accurate when you've got a total testosterone and an SHBG number. But we also need to recognize a couple of things. Testosterone and SHBG will work on a circadian rhythm. So if you haven't got good Sleep patterns, if you're waking up at different times, if you're going to bed at different times throughout the week and then different times at weekend, that first off is going to throw a spanner in the works. So we need to actually work on improving this. Sleeping at a similar time, waking at a similar time, not sleeping in because, oh, I deserve it because I've worked hard. No, you want to be optimizing your hormones and optimizing your body. We need to have a good start point. Imagine if you have a race. Everyone has to do 100 miles, but you've got different start points. Some are starting at 2 miles, some are starting at 1 mile, some are starting 8 miles in. Like, that's not going to be fair. We need to have that consistency of a start line equal across the week. Now, testosterone is going to be highest in the morning and lowest in the evening. SHBG is going to be lowest in the morning and highest in the evening. Now, we need to make sure there's some consistency when we're testing. When we do tests for these things, I have clients that don't use any testosterone. They don't have any exogenous testosterone, that they're not on testosterone replacement therapy. And even then, we have to make sure they're getting their blood test first thing in the morning. And then they get their next blood test around a similar time. And when we do another follow-up test, it's around a similar time. And if clients are on TRT and they have 1 or 2 shots per week or 3 shots per week, however what their protocol wants them to do, we have to make sure that blood test is done. If it's a day or 2 days, like in the trough just before the next injection, we have to make sure that that's consistent throughout their protocol. So we don't have one day where it's just after an injection and then the next day where it's a day after, where we're then going up and down like this. We need to make sure there are consistencies within our testing protocol. Now, also, another thing to take into account is that younger men, so guys in their 20s or in their teens, 20s and early 30s, they're going to be more changes during the day with that circadian rhythm than there are when we get older, when we get into our 40s, 50s, 60s and above. So we need to take that into account when it comes to that variation between high testosterone and lower testosterone later in the day. Now, we don't want to have high SHBG because, as I've said, that is like you're picking up passengers in a taxi and you're just not going to drop them off anywhere. You just got your elbow on the door. And we used to have those locks on car doors that you just stick your elbow. It's all on a button now on central locking, but you stick your elbow and then no one would be able to get out. That's essentially what too high SHBG is. Too low is that you're not going to have any taxis to take this testosterone around the body. Things that can decrease your SHBG, that things like hypothyroidism, so having too high thyroid levels, steroids, anabolic hormones, androgenic hormones, obesity. These are things that can actually decrease your SHBG. Things that can increase your SHBG, it actually goes up. Studies have shown it goes up with aging. Goes up with hypothyroidism. So the other way around, hyperthyroidism being too much on there. Increased estrogen, thyroid issues, liver issues, and also diabetes has been shown to increase your SHBG. So how can we actually optimize this? When I work with clients, we have to look at what is the best thing for this client. We don't just want to chuck someone down to a TRT clinic and then start managing their testosterone levels with exogenous testosterone, because it's not always needed. Do I think it should be more normalized later on in life? Yes, but it's not always needed. A lot of people can do so much to optimize their testosterone before getting on medication, simply by looking at their stress levels, their nutrition, their exercise, their supplementation protocol. So first off, we have to look at stress management. I mentioned that when we produce testosterone, your hypothalamus in your brain sends a signal to your pituitary gland to then send a signal to your testes to say, in Leydig cells in your testes, to say, we need testosterone. So start producing it. Well, that is also affected by your hypothalamus pituitary sending signals to your adrenals to produce cortisol. We need to make sure that your HPA axis and your HPG gonad axis have good functional levels. And we do this by managing your perception to stress. Stress is out there so much, but we have to get the psychological aspect under control if we want to get anywhere when it comes to improving your testosterone levels. We have to also look at managing stress through managing your glucose levels. A lot of people stress, like cortisol, will kick up your glucose up and down all the time. We need to make sure that stress is managed to help that, but also your nutrition is managed. So increasing your protein to help stabilize your glucose levels, but not having loads of processed foods, not having loads of high sugary foods where your glucose gets kicked up, then inadvertently it goes low, and then we're craving more food. So we need to look at managing our nutrition in the easiest way possible. I have some guys that have like 7 or 8 businesses. They're not going to prep their meals as like every single time. So it's my job to go around saying, you eat at these restaurants, you could have this meal prep, you could have these foods when you go traveling there at service stations. It's my job to look at the easiest way for them to actually be successful with their nutrition. We've got to manage that. Then we have to manage sleep. Sleep is one of the things which people say, oh, I do perfectly fine on 4 to 5 hours sleep. I guarantee if you do a blood test, you are not doing perfectly fine on 4 to 5 hours sleep. If we look at cortisol levels, if we look at testosterone levels, if we look at cholesterol, if we look at all these different liver and kidney markers, if we look at red blood cells, white blood cells, you are not going to be optimized from having 4 to 5 hours sleep. You need to be working towards getting 7 to 8 hours sleep as unbroken as possible. If you're waking up 2-3 times during the night to go to the toilet, it is common, not normal. And we need to work on the stress management in order to sort that, and glucose management in order to sort that. Then doing a good level of resistance training is going to help you both your testosterone levels and your SHBG levels. We have to look at nutrition. I said about protein levels. Alcohol. It's getting more and more normalized to have 0% beers, but we still live in a nation where, in a world where it seems where the only 2 drugs you have to justify not taking are caffeine and alcohol. So have a look at why you're drinking if you're drinking alcohol, if you're drinking it in excess. Now, the body can only deal with 1 to 2 units of alcohol per week when it looks at detoxifying as a healthy liver, as a healthy body. So if you're having more than that, then you're not going to be healthy. Do I want to stop people drinking? Actually, like, for a health reason, yeah. Now, if I like the taste of alcohol, would I drink? I might have one every now and then, but I very rarely would drink. Then we have to look at supplementation. There are people all over the internet looking at boron as a supplementation that's going to help boost your testosterone. There's one study on boron that shows a positive impact done on 8 athletes. One study, 8 athletes, and now everyone is shouting that boron is going to be a great supplementation to take. Not necessarily. Could you take it? Is it going to be harmful? Probably not. It's just going to cost money. Could it help you? It might do. So take that if you want to take it. But zinc, magnesium, vitamin D, these are 3 things we know we have to look at optimizing and getting good levels in order to help your SHB levels, SHBG levels. So you can look at blood tests to get your full bloods done. It goes along the lines that I always look at with people is that test, don't guess. So testing for blood tests, look at nutrient deficiency tests. If you want to look further down the line for these tests, feel free to drop me a message and we can book in for a call. We can get you booked in for testing, get your bloods drawn, get a nutrient deficiency test sent to you, all these things. But essentially what we need to do is build a sustainable protocol. Make it work with your lifestyle over time. Don't rush this, because rushing, trying to get everything done at once just sets yourself up for failure. As I said, if you need support with this, drop me a message. If anything's resonated with you, drop me a message and let's chat further. Have a great day.